Welcome students. Today I will discuss Gauss theorem and little bit about capacity, and these are the revision work and I have already completed this portion. So what is Gauss theorem? So before going to the Gauss theorem, you should know the concept of electric lines of force. And this is a positive charge body and this is a negative charge body. Whenever we want to charge a body positively, obviously another body will get negative charge. Okay. Now consider a point positive charge is released here. Consider a point positive charge is released here. What will happen? This will give the repulsion force and this will give the attraction force. You see, this distance is less, so this repulsion force is more, and this distance is more, so the attraction force is less. Now the resultant of these two forces will be like this. So the point charge particle which is considered here, it will move along this path. Now you consider this position. This position, the repulsion force decreases and the attraction force increases, and the resultant will be like this. So for a particular starting point, the particle will move a particular path which is known as electric lines of force. If it is released here, it will move like this. If it is released here, it will move like this, like this. So these are the lines of force, and properties you have learned already. So these lines of force behaves like elastic string, because if this is positive and this is negative, you know that attraction is there. So that can be explained very easily. Now if we draw tangent at any point, it will indicates the direction of intensity. So this is electric lines of force. Now what is flux and flux density? Flux means the lines of force, flux also lines of force which remains perpendicular to any surface, then it is known as flux. Flux is lines of force which remains perpendicular to any surface. And if the lines of force passing perpendicularly through unit area, the number of lines of force passing perpendicularly through unit area is known as flux density, and flux density is the measurement of intensity also. Flux density is the measurement of intensity also. So flux density means intensity. Now you have to consider the surface obviously perpendicular, but if we consider the surface by making angle, certain angle theta, it's making angle theta, so that that area vector also will turn through an angle theta. This is E. So what is the flux through this element? That is d phi equal to E into ds cos theta, because the cos theta components remain perpendicular, so then d phi equal to E dot ds. So this is the amount of flux passes through any elementary area. Now for any closed surface, it will be surface integration closed symbol. This is the symbol of closed surface integration d phi, that is surface integration E dot ds. So this is the foundation of Gauss theorem. Now coming to the Gauss theorem, Gauss theorem is what? Let any closed surface is considered here. In closed surface, obviously this surface must be closed, and what is the amount of flux coming out from the surface? That depends on the charge inside the surface. The surface, what amount of charge is enclosed by the surface, that is phi equal to flux coming out from the closed surface equal to Q inside by epsilon naught. This is the Gauss theorem, and we can say here this phi equal to surface integration E dot ds equal to Q inside by epsilon naught. So total flux coming out from a closed surface will be equal to the 1 by epsilon naught times of the charge enclosed by the surface. Now you have some applications. These are very important also, because applications means numerical. We want to find out intensity due to a charged spherical cell. So whenever charge is given, it will store on the upper surface. Okay. Let this radius is capital R. We want to find out intensity at a distance smaller from the center, which is outer point also. Then according to Gauss theorem, we have to enclose the charged body. So I am enclosing. This is enclosed. This is known as Gaussian surface. And here you see the area vector remains perpendicular to the surface. Area vector, also intensity also this distance. So angle between intensity and area vector is 0 degree. Now close integration, surface integration E dot ds equal to q inside by epsilon naught. That is E into 4 pi r square equal to q by 4 epsilon naught, or E equal to q by 4 pi epsilon naught r square. So this is the expression of intensity for outer point. But if we consider the point inside, then we have to consider the Gaussian surface like this. And Gaussian surface cannot enclose any charge, as charge situated always outside. So here intensity will be 0 for inner points. Then we can plot graph. This is distance r, this is intensity E. So up to r, up to radius capital R, there is no intensity. After that we have, that is E proportional to 1 by r square. So this is the application 1 application. Now if we consider a solid sphere, then what will happen? Solid sphere I am considering here. Let us consider a solid sphere. This is a solid sphere. And whenever charge is given solid conducting sphere, then automatically the charge will store on the surface. As it is conducting, so it will repel the charges and try to hold the minimum potential situation. So always the charge will store on the surface. This is capital R. So outside this behavior of solid conducting sphere will be just like a spherical cell, and then intensity outer point and inner point will be like that. So it is not required to calculate, just like a spherical cell. But if it is non-conducting, then the charge may be distributed uniformly over the volume. So for non-conducting solid sphere, the charge can be distributed uniformly over the volume. So we have volume charge density rho equal to q by 4/3 pi capital R. Now I am considering a very inner point which is situated at a distance r. This is the Gaussian surface. According to Gauss, we have to enclose the charge. Then what is the charge enclosed by the Gauss? Inside equal to 4/3 pi small r cube into rho. Rho is the volume charge density. Then 4/3 pi small r cube, q by 4/3 pi capital R cube. So here it is q small r by capital R whole cube. Now we have surface integration E dot ds equal to q inside by epsilon naught, that is E into 4 pi r square equal to q r cube by epsilon naught capital R cube, and E equal to q r by 4 pi epsilon naught r cube. So here we are getting that E proportional to small r. So inside the solid non-conducting sphere, intensity remains directly proportional to the distance, and graphically we can plot in this way: r, E, up to r it is increasing, up to r then it will decrease. So this is the way to find out intensity due to solid conducting and non-conducting spheres. Now for a charge sheet, here I am considering a charge sheet. This is a charge sheet. Infinitely charged sheet. Now I am considering a point very near about the charge sheet, and then we have to consider a cylindrical Gaussian surface here. Cylindrical Gaussian surface. And see, this intensity behaves like this, directed perpendicular to the surface, and area vector also. So if the charge is conducting, then conducting sheet, if the charge sheet is conducting, then charge remains present both sides. Then what will happen? Then 2E dot ds, because flux going both sides, equal to 2 sigma ds by epsilon naught. That is E equal to sigma by epsilon naught. So whenever the charge sheet is conducting, that time we can use this concept. But if the charge sheet is non-conducting, then charge is situated in one of the surface, then we can say that E2 dot ds equal to sigma ds by epsilon naught, or E equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Okay, so these are also important terms related with Gauss theorem. Now if we consider two charge sheets, let here one, these are charged with same quality charge, then positive charge is given, so this positive charge will store on the outer surface, because same charge will repel each other, so they will push at the maximum distances. The intensity at this point, E at O point, is 0, but here P point it is sigma by 2 epsilon naught, here Q point it is sigma by 2 epsilon naught, because charge stores at one surfaces. If it is conducting, then also. Now if we consider here, one is positive and this is negative, then intensity this point P and Q. See, there is no flux outside of these two plates, so intensity at P and intensity at Q, they are equal to 0. But intensity at O, that is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught plus sigma by 2 epsilon naught, that is sigma by epsilon naught. So this is the way to find out the intensity. These are the applications of Gauss theory. Now I am going to the capacity part. Capacity means what? Just you consider a container. Whenever I am giving some water, the height will increase. So you can consider water as a charge and height as a potential. So for a charge body, how much charge is given, then the potential will increase directly proportionally. So Q proportional to V and Q equal to CV. That C is known capacity. What is the applied charge? By raising temperature, raising potential. Now, what are the units? CJ stat farad and SI farad. Now I am going to the next part. Let a sphere, conducting sphere, charge is given, radius r. So what is the potential of this conducting sphere? That is V equal to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught r. Then C equal to Q by V, that is 4 pi epsilon naught r. So in CJ C equal to r. So it depends on radius only. Now energy. If we want to charge a body, let this body we want to charge, we have to put the charge one by small amount. So whenever charging process is going on, at any instant the potential is V. At any instant of charging, the potential is V. Now a very small amount of charge dq is given. As a result, potential is increased by dV. Then you can say that work done dW equal to V into dq. That is V into CdV. Why? As Q equal to CV, so dq equal to CdV. Because C is constant, capacity of a matter is constant, of a conductor is constant. Now W equal to C0 to V VdV, that is half CV square, just like half mv square. Now see, let two bodies are considered here. One capacity C1, potential V1, another is considered capacity C2, potential V2. Two bodies are considered. Okay. So when these two bodies are connected through a wire, then charge will move from higher potential to lower potential, and this will play up to a common potential. So what is the total potential charge of the system? Q equal to Q1 plus Q2. Then C1 plus C2 into V. V is the common one, that is C1 V1 plus C2 V2. Then V equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2 by C1 plus C2. So this is the expression of common potential. Now we can find out the loss of energy. When the charge moving through this wire, there is some pollution and there is chance of heat production. So that heat will go to the nature, means this is the loss of energy, of the electrostatic energy. So what is the energy initially? That is half of C1 V1 square plus half of C2 V2 square. And final energy E2 equal to half of C1 plus C2 into V common square. So half of C1 plus C2 into C1 V1 plus C2 V2 by C1 plus C2 whole square. And here we can take loss of energy E1 minus E2, which is coming half of C1 into C2 by C1 plus C2 into V1 minus V2 whole square. So these are the important parts I have discussed, and this is just brain mapping section. You can elaborate this one. So practice this and go through the problems. AC Bharma is a very good book. Try to solve AC Bharma. Thank you.